connection with the University of Arkansas actually began in 1972. I came here as a student at that time. The diversity on campus in 1972 was very limited. The impact of the lack of diversity, it helped you to form more close friendships. Some of those friendships that I formed when I was here with those small numbers, they still exist today. Support, whatever money you had, you shared, and that was very little. But the other resources, morally supporting each other, emotionally supporting each other, just being in the group, you just formed that knit because that was your social network. And we partied in residence hall rooms, in the bottom of the basement and stuff like that. That's how small the group was. You can throw a party in the basement of Yoakum Hall, and most everyone was in there, and it wasn't necessarily a big crowd. I had the greatest time of my life being on the 7th floor of Yoakum Hall. There were only 2 black guys on there, but we had the greatest time of our life because the guys on the floor, hey, we were all one mix. And we'd go through things at the Greek Theater, do a little skit for the pep rallies and stuff, participate in that. I was even president of the floor. So we had some support. I consider myself blessed because I stand on the shoulders of folks who came prior to me, not just in the 40s and 50s, but the more difficult times were even in the 60s. And so some of the things that they did and stood for back then, I benefited from in the early 70s. The University of Arkansas made me harder as a student, as a person. Not necessarily trying to not where I excel academically. It taught me how to persevere. I think from the time that Silas arrived up into the 70s, you found people who were more appreciative of the fact that someone walked in the shoes before they did and created that pathway. And I think as you start to venture on past the 70s and the 80s, there's less of a recognition of the fact that they're here off someone else's shoulder. So it just makes a difference in how you perceive things. You didn't take it for granted. When I became a professional, I wanted to be the person who was trying to make a difference, helping somebody else. It worked its way out that's what I became. I lucked into my jobs. My first job as a police officer, I didn't do that because I wanted to be a police officer. I did it because I was getting married and I needed a full-time job to support a family. And the same way with the night manager job, it was a better opportunity. So I think the part when I actually started getting a chance to try to help students came when I was in the College of Engineering working with the minority engineering programs. What Silas and others did, they came and they showed that it could be done. When you think in terms of he came, and even though he didn't live to succeed, but others who followed him, each one of them in that first 6 of law school, each succeeded and got out of here. So it gives you some incentive when you think about what they may have gone through, what they may have endured, and the fact that they blazed that trail. It gives you a sense of pride and say, well, I want to do it. I got to do it. I've got to set the example for somebody else. But for them to now come up and honor him in this way, where they select other African Americans who they see have had an impact, not necessarily the impact that Silas had when he opened the doors, but a major impact upon the influence in the world, in the state, on the campus. I think it's a way of trying to acknowledge others, and in doing so, but also I think it's an effort to increase their focus on diversity and make people aware, make the world aware of what they're doing about diversity, and that they're not ashamed of the fact that we still have some ways to go in diversity, but yet still we're taking steps to make those corrections and to move forward in that regard. When I look back at the things that these people have done and know who they are, it's a very humbling effect for me. It really is. When I started doing the Black Alumni Reunions, got a chance to, and then with the Silas Hunt building dedication, get a chance to meet some of those folks from back then and get a chance to talk to them about their experiences. And even being classmates with some, so to speak, with Elan Harris and Bobby Jones and all that group, some of that younger group, knowing what they have accomplished. And yet for me to be in that, it's an awesome feeling. I tell you now, it's a natural high, very humbling expression as well.